What up? This is Coach Liebs, and welcome to Wide Receiver Film Room Episode 3. This episode will focus on Davante Adams of the Green Bay Packers. This guy has quickly become one of my favorite receivers in the NFL, and is someone who has meant a lot to the Sideline hustle over the last 6 months. Davante was actually the first NFL player to repost our content on Instagram, and that really helped bring our page a ton of awareness. And I was actually lucky enough to meet Davante when I was in Atlanta for the Super Bowl with Nike, and we sat down and talked wide receiver play for about 40 minutes and could have easily gone on for 2 or 3 hours. And after that conversation, it was very clear to me how this guy has made himself one of the best wide receivers in the NFL. He's incredibly thoughtful about his craft. He takes great pride in the details, which, as you guys know if you follow this page, that's something I take great pride in as well. And he's always trying to get better, always trying to hone his craft, and he truly is a technician and a perfectionist. It's going to be exciting to watch him grow and watch his game continue to develop in the future. With that said, Wide Receiver Film Room Episode 3 focuses on the Week 6 matchup of the Green Bay Packers versus San Francisco 49ers. This is a game where Davante had 10 catches, 132 yards, and 2 touchdowns in a thrilling 33-30 win over the 49ers on what I believe was Monday Night Football. But he played just an unbelievable game and really took over down the stretch. And he's someone that plays outside, he can play in the slot, and he can run every route and do anything you ask of him. If you like this content and want to see more of the Wide Receiver Film Room breakdowns or some of my training sessions with NFL athletes, make sure you subscribe to this YouTube channel, share it with your friends, tell anyone you think would be interested. We really appreciate the support and all the love. You know, our pages have been growing like crazy over the last few months, and it's only because of the support and engagement we receive from our fans. We will continue to put out great content. I just hope that you guys will support us by sharing and telling everyone that you think would be interested. Here is Wide Receiver Film Room Episode 3. All right, so the first play of this breakdown comes with about 8 minutes left in the first quarter. They run Davante on what looks to be a little Sluggo here down in the red zone, and it ends up being incomplete. You can see he gets stuck a little bit on this release, and when you look at it closer, it's because his feet are so wide apart and his feet come parallel. And if you watch my content, it's something that, you know, I always try to preach, is that ideally you want to keep your feet staggered in these press releases. When your feet come parallel, now you're forced to take a step out and around to clear the defender. If you're able to keep your feet staggered, that next step is able to be directly vertical, and you can clear the DB much faster. As we slow it down here and kind of zoom in, you can see right there his feet are parallel, and then he has to step out and around the defender. That gives him time to recover. But he does do a really good job attacking inside short arm. As you can see, he attacks him inside, gets the DB to jump inside, but then because it takes him so long to get vertical and clear the defender, he's able to recover, and there's not a lot of separation. The next play of this breakdown doesn't come till about 2.5 minutes left in the first quarter. This is just a really great understanding of coverage from Davante. You can see that they're trying to disguise some things. They start off in a bit of a 1-high look. They're rotating the safeties late, and Davante knows as soon as they roll to the 2-high look that it's going to be some sort of like quarters bracket coverage here in the red zone. He knows it with this dagger post route that he's running from the slot, that this linebacker is not really a factor. The guy who's going to try and jump him is that quarter safety who ends up getting to outside leverage. So he runs right at that safety, runs right at his face. That forces the safety to have to defend the back of the end zone to the outside, run right at him, full speed, close the space on him, and then if you just get him to widen a little bit, once you stick your foot in the ground, you've got that gap between the linebacker and the safety for Rodgers to fit the ball in. You can see the number 3 receiver is crossing the middle linebacker's face, so he takes him out of there completely. That guy's not a factor. He occupies the middle linebacker. With the concept, Tay knows this. So he knows just to stem right at the safety, snap it inside, and there's that big window to catch this on the back line for a touchdown. Great job, great throw and catch, and you love to see the celebration there after a big play. All right, here's Davante up top here. He's one-on-one, and on this bootleg, this isn't really a play where, you know, Davante is really an option here. So what he's doing is what I call stealing a release. Right, he knows that his job is just to kind of run this corner off, clear out the flat so they can throw it to the tight end in the flat here, who ends up being wide open, right? But he's not just lazily taking a release. He's doing this to gain information on how to beat this DB later on. That's what I call stealing a release. So he ends up hitting him with a quick one-hand jam. Davante comes out with 2 quicks and uses quick hand combat to get his hands off. And then what I really like is that about 3-4 yards into the release, he gives another stutter step right at the DB, gives another 2 quicks, another hip shift right at him to freeze him, and then he ends up clearing him pretty good. Now, and I like this plan, and this is something that he should take information from, so the next time it is a one-on-one matchup, but his number is called and he is the feature target, he knows that a plan like this is going to work because it works here to get himself open. You got the one high look. Corner starts to bail and zone turn towards the quarterback. So you know it's probably going to be some sort of one high zone coverage, some sort of cover 3. He's got a little stem out route here and just does a really good job. He stems inside because I'm sure that's how the route was designed, right? He stems inside, but then he sees all this space between him and the DB at the top. So you can see after the inside stem, now he goes and attacks the DB head on. And by the time he breaks, he's chasing the DB's near hip, which is what you always want to do and makes the DB most vulnerable. So he stems inside and then kind of re-stems to run right at the DB, chases his near hip, and that's going to threaten the DB the most. That's going to push him off vertically the most. And then he sinks his hips, gives a quick inset at the top, little change of speed at the top, and breaks away friendly, turns the DB around, and is able to catch this ball for an easy 15-yard completion. But the DB's in trouble here. I mean, most teams, they have a family of routes off this inside stem. Stem inside for 5, push vertical for about 10 to 12 yards. And from there, you can run a stem post, you can run a stem dig, you can run a stem curl. In this case, they run a stem out. So if you're the DB, you really have no way of predicting what this route is going to be. So it's up to the receiver to make all these routes look the same and then just play suddenly and hit them with a sudden break point. Here's Davante running a 9-yard stop. He's down here to the bottom. As soon as he sees the DB zone turn towards the quarterback and give him his near hip, you want to chase that near hip, try and get in his blind spot. You can see he does that. He runs with great speed off the ball. Everything's a fade until it's not. I'm sure you've heard me say that on this channel before. Everything's a fade until it's not. That's what's so good about this route. He comes off running like he's running vertical. The DB has no choice but to protect the deep third and push off the ball, low to lower off the ball, really efficient, no wasted movement. I'd like to see him catch this and get north right away. Catch and pierce, just get north, make a decision. But he ends up doing a decent job, dancing a little bit. Bottom line is, he gets the ball on his outside arm, uses his stiff arm, and gets the first down, which is the ultimate goal here. All right, so now here's a go route by Davante. Comes up short, not able to make the catch. And this is one where I thought he could have used the information he gained earlier in the game to his advantage a little more, right? He uses 2 quicks again, just like he did, if you guys remember the bootleg play where he didn't get the ball. I was talking about him stealing a release, but I thought about 3 or 4 yards into this release, he could have given the corner another hesitation step, another hip shift right at him. It worked on the bootleg play where he wasn't really an option. Once you see that work earlier in the game, that's something that if I'm him, I want to come back to that. Right? I saw it worked. I saw that he's vulnerable to this. It was surprising to me that he didn't use this information to his advantage on this play. And it's something that I think all receivers are prone to do, right? Where he had a little more patience on the play where he knew he wasn't the number 1 option. Now he knows in a man-to-man situation that the ball is probably coming to him. And, I just think he rushes his plan a little bit, and he could have been a little more patient and done a little bit more to gain separation. Ends up getting covered pretty well. Rutgers gives him a chance to make a good combat catch. He's just not able to come down with it. But I just thought that he could have used the information he gained earlier in the game more to his advantage and create some more separation on this play. Good coverage there by the corner. All right, so this is a good route by Davante. He gets kind of a head up to outside leverage corner. Then you can see him kind of creep to outside leverage. So a really good plan down here running the slant. He takes a 1-step stretch to attack the defender's leverage, take a read step. The defender squares up. They end up getting to a cover 2 look here. They do a good job of disguising it. Davante wins inside, pushes vertical, and then snaps it off flat. Really good plan, really good way to beat cover 2 on the slant. Okay, so I love his route. What I don't love is his reaction when he doesn't get the ball. All right, now, if you look at it, he hasn't had a catch for about a quarter and a half, maybe a full quarter. So it can be frustrating when you're the number 1 guy. You want to help your team win. You want to make it have an impact on the game. When you're not getting the ball thrown to you, it can be frustrating. And I don't think it's anything malicious by Davante, but I think it's just his, it's an emotional game. He wants to help the team win. He knows he's open, and he wants the ball in his hand, as any great player should. But I think something he has to understand is when you are the best player on the field, the eyes are on you all the time, right? And part of your responsibility of being the best player on the field is to be a great teammate and to be a great leader. And this is not something that he needs to do. You ran a great route, you got open, you didn't get the ball. Don't hang your head, don't throw your hands up in the air, don't make anyone on your team look bad. Just run your route, go back to the huddle, and just tell Aaron privately, tell the quarterback privately, hey, I was open here. And you could see Rutgers was getting pressured a little bit. He felt like he had to get the ball out quick, and he decided to go somewhere else with the ball. Obviously would the better option have been to throw to Tay here? Yeah, of course. But I just don't like to see this reaction by him. Again, good route, good plan. Just jog back to the huddle. Don't throw your hands in the air. Try to avoid this emotional reaction and don't show anybody up. I think that's something that your teammates appreciate over time. Everyone knows you're open. Everyone knows you probably should have gotten the ball. Be a professional, jog back to the huddle, and know that you are the number 1 target and the balls will start to come your way. It's a good release here down bottom by Davante. Takes one hard step. A one-step stretch here to kind of as a read step. He's got an outside leverage defender, so you want to attack leverage. The DB tries to use a quick one-hand jam. Davante does a great job with his wipers, getting those hands off right away, and then he's able to run upfield. But you can see they've got a lot of attention on him. They've got him double teamed, and the protection breaks down right away. So Rutgers isn't even able to get around the corner here. But it's a good little release here. Good one-step stretch, change of speed, patient but sudden. Get his hands off, win inside, and he's able to use a good stair step here where he's pushing vertical, snaps it off flat, and if Rutgers was able to throw him to the sideline, I think that's a catch he would have made. But a good plan here. You can see that he's open, just the protection broke down, and that's something I noticed a lot in this game. The protection did break down quite a bit on times when Davante was open. This is a really good plan down here by Davante. Now you can see it's a different corner matchup. He's got Richard Sherman on him now. And they're playing man-to-man here. Really odd way of playing this. I don't know why Sherman opened up to the quarterback like this. But a cardinal rule as a wide receiver is if a defender gives you his blind spot, you take it every time, right? So as soon as Sherman turns and faces the quarterback like this, he's giving you that near hip to chase. Chase his near hip every time. Make every route feel the same in that situation. And this is going to come into play later in the game where Davante is consistent of chasing that near hip so that the defender always feels threatened that way. And he does a great job here of pushing vertical, and watch how he snaps it off and uses the safety who's playing man-to-man over the slot. He uses that guy as a rub to get himself open. Pushes vertical, chases Sherman's near hip, snap it off on your second outside step, and Sherman has to then go over the top of this safety, and Davante has great awareness to use that guy as a rub. You can see all the separation he has. Should have gotten the ball here, but this time he's not throwing his hands in the air, and he's not making a scene of it. Just jog back to the huddle and trust that the balls are going to come your way because you're the best player on the field. So this was an interesting play for me. They run a bubble screen here down bottom, right? And Davante's the number one receiver and he's blocking. I don't know what the Packers rules are, so I can't tell you whether he was right or wrong in this situation. The way I've always taught it is this is what you would call an MDM block. MDM stands for most dangerous man. And generally, the way you're going to do this is it's called a push crack, okay? And the technique is you're going to run at the corner with your eyes on the safety, all right? And as soon as the safety becomes a more dangerous threat than the corner, you're going to push off and crack that safety. And this would happen at about 4 yards downfield. So he's running at Sherman. He should have his eyes on the safety because that's the man-to-man defender on the number 2 receiver who's getting the ball. And in general, safeties are better tacklers than corners. So if you're going to leave the ball carrier one-on-one with somebody, you would like to leave him one-on-one in a corner because those guys generally struggle to tackle more than a safety does. I don't know what their rules were. Their rules on this play might have been, it's a mom block, which is man over me, okay? M-O-M, man over me. That could have been his rule here. His rule was just to block Sherman no matter what. But again, hard to know what his rules were without being in the room and seeing the play installed. So finally, late in the game here, this is 3 minutes left in the fourth quarter. The Packers find their matchup that's going to get Davante open the rest of the game. That's putting him as a number 3 receiver in a 3-by-1 formation. And this gets him matched up on a linebacker, which there's not a linebacker in the world that can cover Davante Adams one-on-one. And he's running an opposite hash vertical here. And what his job is he wants to win over the top of this linebacker and just use the space on the opposite side of the field to give Rutgers room to throw him open. And he does a great job stemming right at this guy. Stem right at him, push vertical, and then when he stems at the linebacker and pushes vertical, now you can see the defender is in chase mode. He's chasing Davante deep to the end zone, and again, just athletically, there's no way that this linebacker can keep up with him, and he just wins with speed. But this is what makes Davante Adams so valuable. He can play in the slot. He can play outside. Similar to the conversation we had about Mohamed Sanu in the last wide receiver film room. It's just impossible to defend guys like this who can win versus press coverage on the outside, but then also get into the slot and run every route into the slot. This is Davante's first big play of the game other than that first touchdown. And just a really great job of understanding the space he has in the field to win, understanding that he needs to stem at this Mike linebacker, push vertical, and then snap it across the field. He's got plenty of room to win. Rutgers hits him in stride, and it's a good 30, 40-yard gain. And now here's the very next play. Here's Davante again at number 3. And there he is again, wide open. Now this time Rutgers gets pressured and he's not able to deliver. But, if I'm the coaches up top in the booth, I'm saying, all right, this is where we found our mismatch. They haven't adjusted yet and put a corner on him in the slot. They're playing him with linebackers. Let's keep rocking with this matchup. And a really good job here stemming inside. Again, he gets to the top of this route, this little kind of 7-yard stick route. Gets to the top of it. he sees that the linebacker is kind of outside of him. He's in the direction he wants to go. So he's not in a rush to break outside right away. He settles, breaks down, gives a violent hip shift opposite, gets the defender to jump inside, and then he's able to break away outside and gain separation. All right, now, again, the versatility of a guy like Davante. He goes from playing number 3 in the slot. He's open 2 plays in a row. Now here he is as the number 1 receiver up top versus a kind of loose press coverage. Again, a cardinal rule for receivers. If the defender gives you a blind spot, you take it every time. Chase is near hip. And because Davante is consistent in doing this, it doesn't make the DB alerted to, oh, he's trying to run by me, he's trying to shave my shoulder, anything like that. When you take the blind spot every time, it's something they feel threatened with every time. It's impossible for the corner to predict where the receiver is going to go. So again, good consistency by Davante. He's taken the blind spot every time so far in this game. Here it is again. He runs right at the defender's near hip. All right, then he runs a stutter go, like a hitch and go for a touchdown. Run right at his near hip, break down violently in his blind spot. That's going to get the defender to break and defend any sort of in-breaking route. You get him to stop his feet for a second, and then you get all this room to the back pylon for Rutgers, who's arguably the best quarterback in the world, to throw this ball in there. Really great play by Davante, really great execution, and this is a huge play in the game. There's 2 minutes left in the fourth quarter here, so it's right after the 2-minute warning. The Packers are down 7, so this is the biggest play in the game so far. Obviously, the coaches saw something in the booth that they thought this would be an effective play. It's a perfect call at the perfect time. Great execution by Adams and Rutgers, and this is going to tie the game up again. Biggest play of the game. There's your stud player coming through, and this is why, you know, throughout the game he was frustrated. Second quarter wasn't really getting a lot of catches. You saw the one play where he was hanging his head, but it's why you just got to stay the course as a wide receiver. It gets difficult at times. You have very little control over how you get the ball. You know, the offensive line has to block. The other complementary routes have to help get you open. The quarterback needs to deliver the ball. So you could be running open all game and still not see the ball, and it can get frustrating. But as a star player, you have to have faith that if you keep doing the right things, you keep trusting your technique, the ball is going to come your way, and then you have to be ready to make the crucial play in the biggest moments, and that's what this kid does right here. And it's just a great job of executing in crunch time, and this is going to tie the game up right here. And now go celebrate. Now you're the man. Now this is your moment. Go ahead and take it. Go celebrate. You deserve this moment. Hell yeah. All right, here we go. Packers defense forced a turnover to get the ball back. Now it's a tie game with 1 minute left. You got to go about 50 yards to get into field goal range, maybe 40 yards to get into field goal range, starting with the ball on their own 23-yard line. 2-minute drill. Okay, the key for a 2-minute drill, especially in the NFL where first downs don't stop the clock, is to try and throw the ball to the sideline, get out of bounds. The Packers have no timeouts here, so this is a tough situation. You know, you don't have to get all the way to the end zone. Obviously, it's a tie game. All you need is a field goal to win, but you can't afford to waste any time. If you catch the ball in bounds, you got to be really quick to get back up to the ball, and these are the moments that you practice for, and this is why it's so important how you're talking to yourself at the line of scrimmage as a receiver, developing a plan, and it's just a super, super important time in the game to go execute and be at your best. They start off the 2-minute drill right here with Davante Adams as the number 3 receiver in the slot, because again, like I mentioned, this is where they kind of found the void of this matchup. And here he is again, first play of the 2-minute drill. They go back to the play that just worked for them, and on this opposite hash vertical, same exact play they ran. Different coverage here. Now they're playing more of a man-to-man look. He's got kind of a loose press corner on him. They're in a nickel situation. Maybe it's actually a dime situation where they have more DBs in the game to match up with these receivers. Davante does a great job changing his plan here. He understands how to adjust his plan versus different coverages, which if anyone's ever asked, if you ever heard me say this before, what makes a great route runner? A great route runner is able to adjust his plan to different coverages, and that's what Davante does here. Now he gets kind of a press outside leverage man look. He gives a hard stretch release outside, one hard step. He gets the DB to jump outside. Now he can win inside, push vertical, snap it across the field. He's open again, but Rutgers gets flushed here, ends up getting pressured. He's not able to deliver a good pass, and he's a little late with it. You can see that Rutgers has to step up, scramble around, and then he's late delivering the ball. And it's just a little bit too far behind Davante, but Davante does a great job running this route that you just saw him gain 40 yards on. Now it's the same exact route, but he has to use a completely different plan. He's able to do that, which is what makes a great receiver. Here we go again. Here's Davante again as the number 3 receiver. Now he's got Richard Sherman pressed up on him. Good job by Tay here, leaning into Sherman and use contact to create separation, but not a lot of separation. But had they thrown him the ball, he would have been open enough. The reason why Rutgers doesn't want to go there is, again, first downs don't stop the clock. You have no timeouts. If you were to throw this ball to Davante and he catches it in bounds, that's going to eat up crucial time that you can't afford to waste. So he wants to throw a ball outside to the sideline. Now, this was awesome to see. This is great play calling by the Packers, right? So here's Davante again. It's the number 3 receiver in the slot. What did he just run twice in a row? Twice in a row, he ran crossing routes from this position, right? Especially now that he's got Sherman matched up on him. The route he just ran, or one-step stretch to attack his leverage outside, win inside, push across the field. Davante does a great job of making this route feel exactly like that, right? They've had success completing this once for 40 yards. The first play of the 2-minute drill, Davante was open for another 40-yard gain. Rodgers was just late. So now you know that the 49ers are keyed into this. As far as his plan and the art of route running, it's just a really good example. This doesn't take skill, it doesn't take speed, it doesn't take strength. It takes awareness and understanding of the craft of playing wide receiver. And that's what Davante does here. He knows how to make these routes look the same. And this ends up being one of the biggest plays of the game. He gets Sherman in what I call oh shit mode. He has to grab Adams to try to defend him, and he ends up getting called for illegal contact downfield, and it ends up being a game-saving play. On a play where Rodgers gets sacked and they're going to have to punt the ball away, they end up calling Sherman for a 5-yard penalty and an automatic first down, and it ends up saving the drive. All right, so now we got 1st and 10 on the 24-yard line, 43 seconds left. They haven't gained much yardage, but now they have a fresh set of downs, and they can kind of start this whole process all over again. Here's Davante again as the number 3 receiver. He's running kind of this deep crossing route again. This time, they've got a lot of deep defenders here. They're dropping deep zone, playing cover 3. They've got a lot of attention on him. This is what makes Aaron Rodgers so great, though. He's able to buy time in the pocket. There's nothing open, good coverage by the 49ers, and then he's able to scramble up the middle for a big gain and a first down. Again, first downs don't stop the clock in the NFL, so you got to get up on the ball right away. Everyone's got to have a sense of urgency, get up on the ball right away, and get ready to spike the ball to stop the clock. So now here we go. Now you're at the 45-yard line, your own 45-yard line, 19 seconds left. All right, this isn't a terrible situation because you only need about 20 yards to make this a makeable field goal situation. Here's Davante up top, number 1 receiver. Again, you're able to move him all around the field, make it difficult for the 49ers to predict where he's going to be and put too much coverage on him. He's just running a simple speed out here, a 3rd inside speed cut. He gets the zone turn from the defender. He knows it's loose coverage. He knows he's getting the ball right away. Perfect situation for the Packers because you want to throw this to the sideline. You cannot afford to catch the ball in bounds at all. All right, and just a great, simple, fundamental route here by Davante. All right, you'll see a 3rd inside speed cut. 1, 2, 3, snap it off friendly with speed. Watch him get his head and eyes around right away, and watch him finish downhill. And just really good fundamentals here to make sure he catches the ball and catches it and gets out of bounds. You can't say enough about your fundamentals and your technique showing up in the most crucial moments. And that's the biggest thing I've noticed about this kid is that when the time counts, he's able to trust his technique, trust the work that he's put into his craft, and then execute at a high level. A good 8-yard gain, it's not a first down, but you're getting closer and closer to field goal range, and you stop the clock. This is a crucial play for the Packers here. Now you're at the 47-yard line. You need about 10 yards for a realistic field goal try here. Davante's a number 3 receiver to the field again, going against Richard Sherman, running an out route. Felt like his plan was a little bit rushed. Sherman blankets him pretty good, but really where Rodgers wants to go with the ball and where he does is this back shoulder fade. So now you're on the 28-yard line. 11 seconds left, no timeouts. You're in field goal range. So the last thing you want to do is catch the ball inbounds and let the clock run out because this is a makeable field goal to win the game right here. But you figure, let's make this an easier field goal try. Let's try and get the ball downfield and let's get the ball to the sidelines and see if we can just gain another chunk. You've got Davante Adams up top as the number 1 receiver. You're looking at press coverage across the board. Based on the pre-snap alignment, you're thinking it's going to be man-to-man. So if I'm Rodgers and you've got one shot just to kind of get a quick hitter and a quick chunk of yardage, you're thinking, let me take a shot with my best player one-on-one. Worst case, it's incomplete, out of bounds. Best case, he catches the ball, gets out of bounds, and the game's over. He takes 2 quicks, a good change of pace here, patient but sudden. All right, 2 quicks, gets in the defender's toes. He waits for the defender to shoot his hands. 99% of the time, when a cornerback shoots his hands, he's also going to stop his feet and make himself vulnerable. That's exactly what happens here. Davante attacks his leverage inside. The defender shoots his hands. Davante responds with really fundamentally sound wipers, gets his hands off right away, and then you've got the DB in chase mode. Rodgers throws a perfect ball leading him to the sideline. Davante adjusts the ball in the air, catches it, gets out of bounds to the 9-yard line, and that play is going to win the game right there for the Packers. Just really great execution. Really good job by Rodgers trusting your star player. Really good jobs by Davante Adams not letting the moment get too big for him, right? And you hear me talk all the time, how are you talking to yourself? And you as a receiver better master the way that you talk to yourself at the line of scrimmage, because the most important trait in these situations, it's not your ability to get a good press release or your catching ability or your jumping ability. The most important trait is poise. right? The ability to execute your job with a calm mind. And that's what this guy has in spades right here. He has poise, he's able to execute, he's ready for the task. He rises to the challenge, and just a really great job of executing here. 2 quicks inside, get on the defender's toes, wait for him to shoot his hands, respond with violent hand combat, and now you've got him in chase mode. And this is the game-winning field goal. Mason Crosby, who's been doing this for years, game over. And just what a great job watching Davante Adams down the stretch execute and make some big plays to put his team in position. And of course, the master, the guy who I think is the best quarterback in the game right now, Aaron Rodgers, coming up clutch once again. That's all we've got for Wide Receiver Film Room Episode 3. Thank you guys for tuning in. Like I mentioned earlier, if you like this content, please subscribe to our YouTube channel. Please show love in the comments. Tell me what you like. Tell me what you think we could do better. Leave in the comments which receiver you want to see next. And like I said, if you enjoyed it, please share it with your friends and spread the word. Until next time, this is Coach Liebs. I will see you guys soon. Peace.
On the sidelines, we gotta hustle, cause we gotta eat.
Everybody reach to the top. Everybody reach.